Welcome to Canadian Politics is Boring.
Welcome to Canadian Politics is Boring. My name is Jesse, and with me, as always, is my good buddy Reese, who's been entertaining the hell out of me so far, showing me how Canadian politics is anything but boring, and I've been laughing my whole off. So welcome, Reese. What do you got for me today? What's on the plate? What's the soup du jour?
Today's political soup is cold beans with bacon and artichoke with a bit of parmesan sprinkled on top, which is a bad metaphor.
That actually sounds pretty good. I think
that's just soup that I made up. Okay, so let's go straight into it after the soup gate.
Sure, yeah.
So I want you to, and I like doing this exercise, close your eyes.
Okay.
And imagine Justin Trudeau. Now, give me...
I see Justin Trudeau every time I close my eyes.
You get him tattooed in your eyelids. So just say 3 words that describe him.
3 words?
3 words. Just select 3 random words to describe him.
Charming.
Right.
Handsome.
Right.
And empathetic.
Would you ever imagine him beating the crap out of someone?
No, but I want to see it.
So this episode is called That Time Justin Trudeau Beat Up a Guy. And you don't know about this, do you? You've never heard of this?
I've never heard of this. No, we're gonna get a lot of angry hate for this. I can tell already.
No, I'm talking about a charity boxing match between Justin Trudeau and Conservative Senator Patrick Brazier in March 31st, 2012.
That's a misleading title, man. I thought this was going to be like an alleyway brawl or something, or like the time that I think it was his dad choked out a reporter. This is just, all right, fine. Tell me about a boxing match, I guess.
So the idea was Senator Patrick Brazier. He was in the reserves in the military before. He's quite a muscular guy, and a lot of people thought that Justin Trudeau was a political lightweight, but also that he was the kind of guy who couldn't take a punch. So this was kind of like this.
Yeah, when I think of Justin Trudeau, that's what I think. Is like, yeah, he sure can run a country, but the man can't take a punch. I bet. That's.
So he was seen as being, your typical, I guess the word they use these days is snowflake, like a soft liberal man who, isn't a tough guy. He's in touch with his feelings.
That was their campaign slogan when he was running. Justin Trudeau, a soft liberal man. That was
No, I sent you a picture. All right. I sent you a picture by email if you check it out, and it'll give you an idea.
Open it now.
Open it up and describe what you can see in that picture. It's kind of the pre-fight lineup.
Okay. Oh my God. Okay. So
can you describe what you're looking at?
Yeah. So it's the standoff between both of the boxers before the match, as you have like picture WWE when they're screaming at each other's faces, and one guy was in between them with a microphone, and we've got one guy on the right with crazy tattoos like on his arm, and he's got a bandana, and he's doing this like he's pointing his fingers at his eyes like I see you sort of thing, you're mine, and he's wearing a Speedo, like a tight Speedo, and he's got long unkempt hair. And then to the other side of the guy with the microphone, who's not paying attention to either one of them, by the way, his fingers pointing out like he's trying to remember his next line. The other side is Justin Trudeau, a shirtless Justin Trudeau in boxing shorts, who is in fairly good shape, and he's just staring off into the distance like he's daydreaming about pie. Just not concerned about what's currently happening in the present moment in the slightest. Like, just I wonder what's going to be for dinner later on. Like, or is that McDonald's special over later? I should drive by McDonald's and see later. Like, just completely oblivious to what's currently happening.
So you can see why this is an amazing piece of political theatre. You've got a Conservative senator who is obviously, into physical activity and sports and staying in good shape versus the kind of quintessential liberal MP who's in touch with his feelings and not afraid to cry in front of strangers. So this is like a wet dream for tabloid newspapers.
Right, of course. If you want to see this photo, go to our unfinished website, CanadianPoliticsIsBoring.com, where the photo may or may not exist if Reese gets around to putting it up.
It may or may not be there.
Yeah.
So apparently it was to raise money for a cancer charity, which is a good cause, and the loser would have to have their hair. Both of them have got long hair, so they'd have to have their hair chopped off at Parliament, and they'd have to wear the hockey jersey of the Victor's Party with the Victor's Party logo on it for a week. Now, this was all aired live.
I like this. This is okay.
This is good. This is all aired live on the Sun News network, and I think Vice described it as Canada's version of Fox News if Fox News was completely broke and shot out of a divorced dad's basement.
That's exactly what Sun is. So I'm not going to argue with that.
So one of the commentators said that in talking about Brazier, he said, "I think he's been in more fights in a month than Trudeau has been in his life." And the nickname they came up for Trudeau during the fight was Shiny Pony.
If he goes for re-election, I'd say that should be their new campaign slogan.
Ride the shiny pony.
Ride the shiny pony, yes.
That is going to be a t-shirt. So the man in blue, which is Brazier, he was 4 inches shorter than Trudeau, and he had shorter arms, but he was a black belt in karate. And
the man in blue. Hold on.
Yeah, so the guy fighting Trudeau. So Trudeau was in red, and the other guy was in blue.
Not in the
He's not in that picture. Just when they were fighting in the ring.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say. Yeah.
So he was also he was once in the Canadian Naval Reserve, and his whole theory was Trudeau couldn't take a punch and was 3-1 the favorite. So the odds were against Trudeau.
Right.
So what happened is they started it. Apparently Trudeau's mother was very vocal in the audience, screaming and shouting to. Did they call it an audience? It's a crowd, I guess, or
it's a crowd. Yeah, a crowd.
A crowd to the audience. It's theatrical, but so.
Was this an actual boxing match?
This was an actual boxing match.
It wasn't organized. It wasn't choreographed to make it look fun.
No. This was they both trained in different gyms, and they were getting ready for this fight. So
so they were actually going to. All right. Okay.
They actually did it. So in round 1, when they got started, Brazier was basically really aggressively just started laying into Trudeau with endless kind of lefts and rights, and all these videos are on YouTube. You got to watch.
And were they hitting? Were they landing?
They hitting him, yeah. So he was going for Trudeau can't take a punch, so he gave everything in that first round, and Trudeau was fine. He hit him a few times, but Trudeau didn't fall. So one of the commentators said he's out there throwing pretty much everything but the kitchen sink right now. And Trudeau had this strategy where he was going to dodge and duck and weave, and he was going to wear Brazier out. So in the second round,
but he didn't duck and dodge and weave. He took every single punch.
He took some of them, but he did avoid lots of them as well.
Okay.
But Brazier at this point had used a lot of his energy up in the first round. So
it's actually a fairly good strategy. Yeah.
So Trudeau started then just jabbing away, just started then hitting him and returning the punches in round 2. And Brazier was a bit taken aback, and obviously because he thought he was going to win in the first round and knock him out with that first punch.
Right.
He was kind of slightly on the retreat, starting to run out of energy. And Trudeau also was taller and longer arms, so he had the reach advantage. So he was able to,
which is huge,
punching.
Actually. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So he was able to keep punching him without really getting hit back necessarily. He could just lean backwards. And then by the third time, Brazier was not even throwing accurate punches. And Trudeau was just still on the offensive. He had superior fitness and was just hit him clean on the nose. And Brazier fell over, tried to get up, and he won. Trudeau won.
Oh, so it wasn't a KO though. That's too bad. I was hoping for a KO ending.
But that's not what anybody expected.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I like the guy, and I probably wouldn't have expected that either, honestly. Was this before his election?
This was before. This was when he was just an MP. So the fight was over. So Justin Trudeau had essentially proven that he could take a punch. That just because he was in touch with his feelings didn't mean he could win a fight. Couldn't win a fight.
That, again, another great campaign slogan for re-election. Trudeau can take a punch. Just like
and
instead of going and kissing babies, he goes around and asks people to punch him in the face, right? And
exactly
remain standing. Like if you can punch me in the face and I remain standing, you have to vote for me. Like I think I'd say that's, honestly, if you went to like a heavily conservative populated area with that in mind, like I'll just stand in the ring, come on in, you give me a punch, and if I can take it, you have to vote for me. I bet you he could convert people. I really do.
So one of the pundits said that Breezer had blown himself out early. That was one of the ways to describe it. And another one,
horrible description.
I know, it's a horrible description. So, and another person said it was a good victory. Trudeau had used made a good job of using his boxing skills and strategy. He used his height well. So
he was trained as a boxer before this, then?
No, he just trained for it. He just used
like
his brain.
Just okay.
So rather than just running and punching things, he actually learned a bit about strategy, about actually the strategy behind boxing and how you can win. Whereas the other guy was like, his theory was, I just need to punch him once and I'll be the winner.
Right.
So Trudeau approached it with a much more.
I like to think that before Trudeau's boxing training, before this match, that he had a plan. It's like, I'm just going to run and punch things, and someone had to stop him and and sit him down and talk to him. Okay, okay, Justin. Well, I mean, that's okay. That's one way we could do it. Yes, you could just run and punch things. Or we've got this trainer, and you could train with him for a week or two. We'll even pay for that. That's fine. Like I'd like to think that's a conversation that actually took place. In fact, I'm going to say that it did, and you can.
I guess the thing is that it just shows that there was a kind of a not looking at it going, I just need to train as hard as possible and punch as hard as possible, and it was much more. I need to learn some of the skills and why people win fights, not just kind of run in there thinking it's like a brawl.
Again, a great re-election campaign slogan. I need to learn some of the things and why people win fights. That's Justin Trudeau, re-elect me, please. I'd be like.
So the head coach of the Atlas Boxing Club in North Toronto said that you don't often get to see top politicians duking it out. For Canada to have that, I think, is a testament to our culture. Everyone in our country has a little spark in them. I think Trudeau kind of needed a fight like this. It showed everybody he's not just a pretty boy. He can handle himself in a fight. I think it really probably helped him get a lot of votes. So
I agree.
They did. Yeah, they raised $200,000 for the Ottawa Regional Cancer Foundation, which was
amazing.
Good.
That's amazing.
And Justin Trudeau cut the other guy's hair off and made him wear his hockey shirt. I don't know who Justin Trudeau sports in hockey. I imagine.
I have a photo of that.
I'll send you the picture now. What's your email address?
I'm not saying that.
Hang on.
Oh my God. So I'm looking at the photo right now of him cutting off the guy's ponytail. Justin Trudeau looks like an unimpressed mob boss that's about to teach his insubordinate a lesson. Seriously, he's going to go have a bowl of pasta and smoke a cigar after this. He looks.
I was going to say he looks like a hairdresser, but.
Go and check it out at CanadianPoliticsIsBoring.com. If Reese gets around to putting it up there.
May or may not be there.
May have 50-50 chance.
So it was successful. But the interesting thing is that the 6 months later, Trudeau announced he was running for Liberal leadership, and 3.5 years later, he was Prime Minister. But before this fight, everyone assumed he was just a political lightweight, and in terms of in a political and a boxing sense. So. So it actually kind of changed people's perceptions about him. People took him a bit more seriously because he could.
So that's interesting. That's interesting what you just said. Immediately after winning the fight, he announced he was going to run for Prime Minister.
For the Liberal leadership.
For the Liberal leadership. Okay, right. So for the Liberal leadership. So what if he'd lost? If he'd lost that, I mean, was that maybe a chain of events, a domino chain of events that led to him becoming Prime Minister? If he had lost that.
Yeah. It was literally the fight of his career.
Right. Wow. We need another boxing match. I say I think that's how a lot of like, honest to God, like when political debates happen, they should happen near a boxing ring. And if things get too heated,
but I think it says a lot about people if, you know, it takes literally a fist fight for someone to win you over, to take you a bit more seriously.
Yeah, that's the state of the world we're living in right now, which is really, really sad. I agree with you. It's very, very sad. But like not a far stretch from what's actually happening in the world. I got to say, right? It's not that far of a stretch. It really isn't. I think, and would probably make things a lot better.
Thanks for listening to the story of the time Justin Trudeau beat a guy up.
I gotta find this video now. Does this exist on video somewhere?
Just search it. It's on YouTube. You can watch the whole fight.
Just search it. I hate that. Just Google.
Yeah, cool.
Just Google.
Well, thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for sticking us in your ear holes.
It's come to our attention that many of you are angry at us constantly suggesting new t-shirts, and none of you have bought any t-shirts. So we just wanted to take a moment to apologize for pushing the t-shirts, and at the same time kind of like
remind you that the t-shirts are out there and you should go
the t-shirts. I spent at least 5 minutes on the artwork for each one.
And it shows.
And we're kind of in the red now because I spent that time, and so far it's been a completely wasted time, a completely wasted investment of time and energy. I've paid for a subscription to Adobe Photoshop that. So yeah, just help us out. Just go and buy a stupid t-shirt. No one will get the reference, and that's part of the fun. It's your secret t-shirt. So please. Either ignore us talking about t-shirts and go and buy a t-shirt, or just go and buy a t-shirt.
Either way, buy a t-shirt? Okay, yeah.
Just buy a t-shirt. Those are your options. Buy a t-shirt or buy a t-shirt.
You're great at advertising, Reese.
Thank you.